network is the heart of the systems.
Probably the most important part of your IoT solution.
And why are IoT projects actually so hard?
Is it secure?
VPNs are fun and they are not boring. Hi everyone, this is Hi everyone, this is
Ivan
and Alexandra from Staex, and today we would like to talk with you about IoT. Ivan, can you please introduce yourself shortly so that our audience actually understands who are you and what are you doing?
Sure. My name is Ivan, I'm product lead at Staex, and at Staex we are doing mobile first VPN for industrial IoT.
So, my name is Alexandra and I will be interviewing Ivan today on the topic of IoT projects, and in this little interview we would like to share with you our experience that we gathered within the last 3 years working with the industry, mostly here in Germany and the broader Europe, in a couple of countries. And we have been talking to a lot of IoT manufacturers, so basically today we will be asking Ivan on what is there within the IoT and what are the problems and why our IoT projects are actually so hard. Thank you, Ivan, for being here. And the first thing what I would like to ask is, IoT has been around for years, and some of the articles that you would find online is the industry is questioning a lot whether maybe we failed to market this term because somehow AI is more prominent in the space. However, IoT seems to be everywhere. And now we can't imagine any vertical, it seems like, without IoT devices. So we have so many years into the IoT project, so why is it still so hard to actually deal with IoT, and why are IoT projects as specifically complicated today?
IoT has multiple problems. First of all, it's the name, Internet of Things. So basically right now, no thing is connected to the internet because it's not secure and not reliable, and this is not actually what you want. So you don't want your IoT devices to go to the internet. And the solution that I see here is, of course, to use private networks to get all your data from your IoT devices and to encrypt this data and to send it to your servers, bypassing all the cloud providers and etc. etc. Another problem with the IoT is that devices that are used in this industry, they are not really smart. So these devices use all the protocols which are not encrypted, which were never designed for internet. And some of these protocols are not even IP based, so they use Ethernet to send some data, and now we need this data to appear on the cloud server. And these are two reasons that IoT is not as popular, it's not as shiny as AI.
I understand. This is a very interesting information, and maybe with regard to your first suggestion with using the private networks, because you said one of the options will be to bypass cloud servers, and today most manufacturers are working with clouds, so maybe you can elaborate a little bit more why you think it's a good approach from your perspective.
We can take EV chargers as an example. EV chargers work with the OCPP server. This is a requirement for them because they speak this protocol, and the nice thing about this protocol is that it is modern, it is encrypted, it was designed for the internet. However, some EV charger operators want to get full control of their data, and they don't want to send their data to third-party OCPP server. And they have their own reasons for this. For example, if you do send this data, the owner of this third-party server, they can monitor your nodes, your network nodes that, let's say they are mobile, they go from one cell tower to another, and they can basically track your movement this way. And this is the reason why some operators want to hide their movement, hide their nodes, and the best way to do this is VPN. And here they come to a different problem. When you try to use EV charger with a VPN, you soon realize that you can't install VPN there. There is no way to install anything on EV charger. It's just a closed device that operates IP-based protocol, but otherwise it's fully closed for your inspection. And the solution here is to resort to old-fashioned methods like port forwarding, like dynamic net, etc., whatever works for you, and to use these methods to actually connect the charger to the server in your VPN network.
Okay, and everything that you describe, I suppose this is somehow state of the art today. What is happening in the industry? Is it what you've seen so far? What companies are using with regards to the EV charging vertical?
Well, OCPP is definitely state of the art. I don't know many companies that actually want to run their own OCPP server, but we see how industry slowly realizes how much trust they give to third parties, and I think that the trend is to actually host everything by yourself,
right, and
outsource only the things that you don't want to take responsibility for,
right,
like payments and something like that.
Okay. That makes total sense, because also I guess with regard to data sovereignty and a lot of security and trust issues with regard to third parties, I think there have been a lot of movement, especially in the industry, and we also felt in our conversations the kind of pulling back from blindly trusting the provider, because also I guess they run into the lock-in, right? So the vendor lock-in, that it's also hard to move the services afterwards. Okay, so thank you for this. I would also maybe like to even come back to the beginning of the conversation, because we were discussing the Internet of Things. And believe it or not, but in our conversations, I do get questions in a lot of context. What is IoT? Because you just said, well, EV charger is an IoT. Maybe you can say your own definition, how you see this, and elaborate also a little bit more why you said in the beginning that might be even a wrong name for Internet of Things from your perspective.
Sure. From my perspective, Internet of Things is everything that is not HTTP or HTTPS. So everything that we do not call a web, and everything that we do not call the internet actually. So that's why I think this this name, like Internet of Things, first of all, it doesn't reflect the reality, because the things are not part of the internet right now. And second is that we do not even have a search engine for IoT devices, and search engine is the first thing appeared on the internet. And we are even in the pre-Internet of Things time from this perspective.
That's quite depressing for a lot of the industry players that are working a lot on the Internet of Things. That's actually another interesting topic that you said about the search engine for IoT. How can companies make use of such a search engine, just to kind of sparkle their imagination? What, maybe you can make a couple of examples how they can use this in their business.
Sure, this is all aligned with the view of maybe recent movements like Internet for Machines.
Okay.
Let's call it like this. And we also try to envision how this will work in the future. And one possible way of evolution from Internet of Things to Internet of Machines is that you provide a search engine which is used by machines themselves, and the search engine that gives you, instead of like links to the pages or links to the videos or articles, whatever, it gives you the data that machines produce, and that can be consumed by either the human or a machine, but mainly for the machines, of course. So machines can query the data, can consume the data, and can publish at the same time the data to other machines to consume.
Okay, that's actually very exciting. So can you say that this component can be used by IoT manufacturers today, or I would say IoT developers, as a component inside their architecture to take in the data in a more easier way?
Right now, I do not know any, let's say, universal solution. And as I said, we are in pre-Internet of Things epoch, and yeah. So what I see on the market right now is a lot of solutions that are that market themselves as VPNs or as IoT platforms or as cloud IoT platforms or even zero trust networks, etc., etc. They are all geared towards the IoT in one way or another, but they do not constitute the system as a whole. So we have many players that compete to each other, and none of them can provide you the universal, let's say, address space, at least the address space for the machines.
Well, that's actually also very interesting point, which you mentioned, the address space, because is it true that I feel it's not being used? It doesn't exist, right? So we don't talk about the broader machine identity today at all, as I understand. So I feel that most companies are still busy with setting up the infrastructure, etc. So we're far away from the actual interesting use cases that can be done with IoT.
For sure, companies are busy with their own products. It's always like good to like take a step back and to see the whole picture. But yeah, when companies struggle to sell their product, to improve their product, they probably can't do this step. And this is a problem for IT space right now. However, let's say some blockchain companies, they also focus on IoT devices, and they provide some of these services. However, blockchain has other sort of types of problem when we try to marry blockchain to the IoT, to these old companies that use old protocols, that use their own devices, that are accustomed to work the old ways. This is kind of doesn't work. So you have, and now we have like two set of companies, like blockchain related and non-blockchain related, that are working towards the same goal but do not want to talk to each other actually, because they do not understand each other.
Two different worlds, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's also sad in a way, because blockchain, a lot of these protocols have been created to support IoT. I guess a lot of blockchain protocols encounter the same issues that we see inside the IoT space, and basically there's no, of course, one solution that fits at all. Okay, so I would also like to ask you to tell us a little bit more about all the protocols, because you also mentioned it at the very beginning. We discussed OCPP, which is used by energy providers, which is using encryption and is more modern. Maybe you could cover a little bit of older protocols which you have seen being used in the field, how they're being used. Would be great if you can cover it a little bit.
Sure. One of such protocols is Modbus. Modbus is used to interact with EV chargers also, to interact with smart batteries and to interact with some older machines that I don't even know how they look like. And Modbus, it has two flavors. One flavor is Modbus, which works over serial port, and another flavor is the Modbus working over TCP. And of course, right now all IoT companies want to use Modbus over TCP because this is the only way to tunnel this protocol over the internet. And since Modbus is an old protocol, it was never designed for the internet. There is no encryption built in, and basically it's a TCP-based protocol, not even HTTP-based. The usual solution is also to use VPN, and you will also have the same problem as with OCPP. But this problem, it's like inverse problem because OCPP client on the EV charger tries to reach the server, and Modbus on a charger is actually the server itself. So you need to reach it from your cloud server. So it's kind of similar problem, but it works the other way around. Yeah, of course, it's the same issue. You have to use either the port forwarding or network bridges to make it possible to connect to these devices. Network bridges is not optimal solution because if you deploy multiple devices, you need to use unique network for each device, which is kind of complicates your deployment. Not very scalable, not very sustainable, not easy to maintain, and people usually go with port forwarding. Another protocol is actually RTSP.
Okay.
This is the protocol used by CCTV cameras.
That's also a great use case.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some portion of cameras do not use encryption for this protocol. You also need to tunnel this over the network, and it works the same way as Modbus because the IP camera is usually the server, and you connect to this server and consume the video stream using this protocol. There are many such protocols. These three are protocols that we mainly work with our clients and help our clients to encrypt and to tunnel these protocols over the VPN. But many others, they have similar problems. For example, sensors like humidity sensors, temperature sensors, they also need to connect to the server and or to the cloud or to the VPN, and they also need encryption. And since these devices are really tiny and microcontroller based, you can't install VPN there, and you also need to make them part of the network to make them secure.
So even harder, right? If we go to, as you said, sensor use cases, it becomes even harder. As you said, we can't even use VPN with such platforms because they are too constrained on resources. Maybe you can cover, while you were speaking, I had a question because you said a lot about the usage of VPN. How would you put it together today, VPN and IoT? How ready VPNs are today, and how ready are in general VPN provider? Because I think a lot of people are using VPN for accessing the video platforms, etc. So it's a topic which is very clear to the audience. Maybe you can cover how this is used with IoT and whether VPNs are ready for IoT today.
This is a great question, actually. And here we can think of VPNs as like old VPNs, which are mainly the network, the virtual network that is created manually over the real network. And newer VPNs are actually overlay networks. And I think, of course, that newer VPNs are more geared towards the IoT, not like 100%, but still it is better than the old ones. So what is the difference? The difference is that the overlay network contains the overlay network offers not only the IP addresses and routing, but also other network services.
Mm-hmm.
For example, DNS.
Okay.
For example, the DHCP server, the dynamic allocation of IP addresses, something similar, and also the firewall. So you can specify exactly how the traffic travels through your network. And at the same time, these overlay networks are easier to configure because, of course, they contain all the services, and you can package all the right configuration options together with these networks, and it's actually easier for a customer to configure overlay network compared to old-fashioned like centralized VPNs.
Mm-hmm.
So why do I think that they are not geared towards IoT? Because none of them contain any like port forwarding features, or let's call it reverse port forwarding, that are actually very useful for IoT devices, but probably not useful for anything else. And that's how you know that like VPN provider never worked with IoT companies,
Right.
because you don't see the features that are expected
Mm-hmm.
by 100% of them. All of them want sensors, all of them want cameras, all of them want like EV chargers, or basically any sensor cannot be connected without these features.
Interesting. So also for the audience here, good advice in case these features are not a part of VPN, then it's not an IoT VPN. I actually also have a little bit tricky question, because a lot of IoT manufacturers or people that are getting into IoT, they think there is also a huge industry which is telecommunication operators which are selling SIM cards. And a lot of people think that somehow VPN and all this is actually addressed by a telco operator, because somehow this will be done for me as a manufacturer. And people would think that actually they have good VPNs for IoT because they actually sell SIM cards. Maybe you can also cover this a little bit, how ready these solutions are and how they are helping to the industry today.
Sure. Telcos offer VPNs as an additional service to their main offering, and their main offering is, of course, connectivity.
Right.
Some operators offer connectivity only to their towers. I think better to say their devices on the towers. And some operators offer connectivity to basically any device which is on the tower, so they are virtual network operators.
Mm-hmm.
that work on top of others. Of course, their service is more expensive, but also you have better coverage and better connectivity, because when one cell tower fails or one device on the cell tower fails, then you can connect instantly to another device. So you are constantly roaming, and you get better service with these operators, and of course pay higher price. So what do they offer? Except connectivity, they offer usually they offer APNs. This is access points, and there are public and private access points. And of course, if you want static IP addresses, you want private access point, and of course you will pay more for this kind of service, because you will get static IP addresses. And at the same time, you think, okay, I got the addresses. Now I have static IP addresses. Now I have private network. Is it secure? There is no easy answer to this question. Usually, mobile operators use IPsec protocol, IPsec standard, to encrypt your private network and to give you static IP addresses. This protocol is good enough, but from their own boards. They offer this only for you to get static IP addresses. They don't care much about security, and security is not the issue for their customers. Their customers ask for static IP addresses, and they usually want to run their own either VPN on top of this network, or they will use standard HTTPS to send all the data. So yeah, you can get part of the VPN functionality from mobile operators, but again, they are never. I don't know any mobile operator that is that give you VPN that is geared towards the IoT. Right. So you will have the same problems with all of that.
And thank you so much, because I also think it's interesting. I remember that reading the work on IPsec started in 1992. So also from the amount of years that passed, it's also quite interesting that we are still using these protocols. If you think about 1992, I think we didn't have mobile connectivity yet, so I guess a lot of things are just not so, as you say, geared towards IoT, while we all would think that we already should have a set of newer protocols that can be used in the systems. That's really interesting also on the telco industry, to understand how the protocols are working, and also just maybe last point from the VPN perspective, I think, does VPN actually play a huge role for IoT? Because one can think, it's nothing so special, just like a secure tunnel to somewhere. But if you think about IoT use cases, I kind of even can feel this can be quite a crucial part in the connectivity, or what are your thoughts?
My thoughts here are aligned with with my view of Internet of Machines. So basically, the VPN for IoT, in the perspective, should become the Internet of Machines. Of course, since this is a private network, this will be maybe not internet, maybe not the right term for this. Maybe it's like private net or whatever, but it will work the same way. And how we see it is that you will have your own DNS servers, you will have your own certification authorities to get certificates for your HTTPS connections, and you will have everything shielded from the outside world. So this is the intermediate step that IoT or Internet of Machines have to make in order to become actually the Internet of Machines. And at the same time, companies may develop the public network, the actual Internet of Machines, which is connected, which can be connected to these private networks, but can also be a completely different network with completely different rules and use cases, and probably in the future this network will be used for machine interaction across businesses, or maybe across countries, across entities, different entities.
Right. That's exciting. Exciting future with Internet of Machines. Maybe do you have a couple of use cases in your mind that you can give to the audience? What can be done inside Internet of Machines? How can it be helpful for the future?
Sure. The use case that I was thinking about is one simple use case is that often you go to the website to know the weather and to know the temperature, the wind speed, humidity, etc. And most of the time it is difficult to predict weather for the short term. Because you have lots of historical data, you can predict for the long term using the historical data, say like the average temperature, but you can't predict what will happen in 2 hours or maybe in 1 hour. And the solution to this is, of course, to use IoT devices that measure all the measurements around you. Let's say IoT device in this building, or IoT device which is mounted on the building nearby. And in order to get this data, right now there is no way. There is no way to publish this data.
Okay,
there is no way to get this data, and the Internet of Machines can be a response to this problem, and can enable actually this use case easily.
Okay, that's like a data source in this case.
Yeah.
Okay, and maybe as we approach the end of the interview, a little bit harder question. So, like, we have so many companies working in the field, and I think that we see now more and more IT use cases. Why, from your perspective, or what were the reasons why we still are at this point that it's still so complicated to actually create simple IoT networks which are secure? Like, why are VPNs are still not geared towards IoT? What is, like, from your feeling, from the your conversations in the industry, why are we here today in 2023?
Well, there can be multiple answers. Actually, I don't know. So probably the most important factor here is that VPNs are really boring. So you have to to go to great lengths to convince people that VPNs are fun. VPNs are the future, and like newer VPNs that are actually overlay networks and like private networks for your machines is really exciting technology that can change your business and change how you think about machines. The other problem is that the other problem is actually devices, because when you work with cloud servers, there is no shortage of like services, software, etc., which are available for these servers. You can do anything like backups, you can run virtual machines, you can run containers, you can connect to you can create private networks even in the clouds, and basically there are no limits when you're working with cloud machines and with the servers. But with IoT devices, even the simplest IoT device, you first thing that you encounter is the limits. As I said, like sensors cannot run anything but the firmware, right. The chargers that need to connect to the servers that need to connect to cameras, etc., etc. So you soon realize that there is no technology that enables you such use cases, and you resort to these old ways of doing things because you don't have any alternative.
Right, it's quite depressing, I guess. Especially for developing apps. When you start working with IoT, and then there is this new sort of developers that are just creating experiences. So I guess it can be very frustrating as soon as they get to this boring, as you said, networking world. But I like your thought about this. There is so much more, and you can actually, by building the right foundation, create amazing use cases for the future with the usage of newest technologies and cool use cases as you described. Any other last thoughts for the interview today?
Well, I don't know. I encourage all people to embrace VPNs and to don't think of them as the added service that you get together with mobile connectivity. Right. VPNs are a product on their own, and this is an important part of probably the most important part of your IoT solution.
It's interesting, right? As you said, even if you use, if we go to the next wave of the internet, talking about blockchains, right? Blockchains are actually requiring the transactions that are being, put into the ledger, and if the transactions are not coming, so I guess you're right that the network is the heart of the system. So this is the part that actually should run. Thank you so much. We learned a ton. I think that hopefully the audience could take it with them, that VPNs are fun. This is definitely the quote from this interview. And they are not boring. So thank you so much. Thank you, Ivan.
Thank you for having me.
Sure, we will be happy to answer any of your questions in case you have any topics. Email us or put them as comments under the video. And we will be happy to cover anything in our next episode and share with you our experience. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.